So they tell me that you're looking for a girl like me. So they tell me that you're looking for a girl like me. Ah, you're looking for a girl like me. So I wanted to tell you about Juice WRLD. He is a hip hop artist, rapper, and he wrote this song. I'm gonna play it, at least part of it. I only have the answers to the questions, but this time I'm gonna be quiet. This time. This time it was so unexpected. Last time it was those drugs he was lacing. All legends fall in the making. Side truth, die young, demon youth. He says, what's the 27 club? What's the 27 club? Well, it's the group of famous people who have died at age 27. Like Jimi Hendrix, James Dean, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Ryan Dunn from Jackass. What's the 27 club? He says, we ain't making it past 21. Juice WRLD struggled with addiction, but perhaps he struggled with addiction because he had depression and anxiety. So he abused drugs. But what was amazing about him was that he talked about it. It's hard enough to talk about mental health issues for anyone. There is a stigma that we want to go away that doesn't. And those of us with mental health issues have to hide them and mask and act like things are okay when they're not until we break down and we unalive ourselves or we go into the hospital. And we're supposed to ask for help, but we're afraid. We know that we're going to be a burden on anyone that we turn to. So we keep quiet and we go about our lives and we live a lie. But Juice WRLD didn't. Juice WRLD sang about his mental health. And I discovered him a couple years ago when I was not doing well. And I really was moved by his mentions of suicide. And it didn't make me want to unalive myself. Instead, it made me realize that other people struggle like I do. And that we can keep trying and that we don't have to give up. But the interesting thing about Juice WRLD is that he did die when he was 21. What's the 27 club? We ain't making it past 21. And he didn't. He struggled with his drug addiction. He would go from not doing them to doing them to not doing them to doing them, mixing illegal drugs with his prescriptions, not taking his prescriptions, all the things that we do to self-medicate when things aren't going right and nothing else will help. We escape however we can from the pain that haunts us all the time. So Juice WRLD was on a private jet, and he and his entourage had a whole bunch of drugs. And they got word that the DEA or some entity was waiting for them at the tarmac at their destination. So Juice WRLD decided, instead of being arrested and facing prison, that he would take all the drugs. And I consider that suicide. Some people have said to me, oh, don't you think that he had convinced himself he was invincible and he could do anything and it wasn't going to hurt him? No. I think that when your life is already dark and harder than you can bear, going to prison is truly unbearable, and you might as well be dead. So his death was ruled an overdose. And I don't know him, and I don't know his friends, and I wasn't there. But it sure seems like he unalived himself, and he knew that that was his destiny. When I was into him, when I was really starting to get fascinated with his work, I didn't even know that he was no longer alive. Just 21. So art by people with mental health issues can help us to overcome our own obstacles by reminding us that we're not alone and that people can succeed and be happy despite horrible circumstances. But sometimes we don't win. I think about Sylvia Plath, who wrote The Bell Jar, which is so acclaimed. And the book is about depression and suicide attempts that don't succeed and overcoming depression and going back to normal life. But the reality for Sylvia Plath is eventually she did succeed, and she did unalive herself. So what do we do? Is it hopeless? Should we give up? No. But we do need help. We do need to believe that we're not a burden. We do need to defeat the stigma. It needs to be okay to say, I'm struggling. It needs to be okay to say, I truly need help. It needs to be okay to say, I am not okay. I am not fine. Don't ask me how I am if all you want to hear is that I'm fine, because I'm not. And if you have someone in your life who struggles with mental health issues, I would say that the best thing that you can do for them, instead of offering advice, instead of picking things apart for them, instead of telling them what they should or shouldn't do, you should ask them what they need. You should ask them how you can help. Because I guarantee you that they've spent more time than you ever could thinking about what they could do to feel better. Because that's all we want. None of us want to be depressed. None of us want to be anxious. None of us want to have panic attacks. None of us want to be debilitated. None of us want to be a burden. But we do want help. We want to know that we're loved and that we're cared for and cared about. And I don't think it takes very much to just ask, how can I help? What can I do? What do you need? Because for me, sometimes that is all I need. For someone to just ask. For someone to make it so clear that I'm not a burden, that they're willing to take another step to do something for me. And then sometimes, after that, it's just like a cup of cold water. A hug. My dad asked me the other day when I was having a panic attack what he could do for me. And I said, no, it's okay, because I was going to take some medicine and lay down, and I was going to be fine. But he said, what about a hug? Can I give you a hug? And he gave me a hug, and he held on to me. And hugs can make me feel uncomfortable. So I started to disengage and try and show, like, I'm okay, I'm okay. But he held on, and I hugged him tighter, and then I tried to let go again, and he held on. And that's what we need. We need to be held on to. We need to know by your words and your actions that you really want us here. Because sometimes we have convinced ourselves of so many reasons why no one wants us around. And why taking our lives would only be a favor to everybody. The more we talk about it, the more we bring it into the light from the shadows, the more lives we're going to save. We need to normalize mental illness the way we normalize any other physical illness. You don't go to work when you're incapacitated by cancer. So why do you go to work when you're incapacitated with depression? Why does it have to be okay? Why do we have to buckle up and bite down harder and forget about it? It's not a matter of wishing that you were well or telling yourself that everything's going to be fine. Because if it was, then there wouldn't be depression. Because no one's choosing it. If you are worried about someone, ask them what they need. And please don't call for a wellness check, and don't call a suicide prevention hotline, and don't call the police. Because then you involve a system that breaks people down and ruins people and ruins lives. Just ask what they would like from you. And then be willing to give it.